Hello guys, today we're going to be tackling the problem of a blocked sink. Now this one isn't particularly bad, but the same principles will apply no matter how bad your sink is. So I'm just going to show you quickly. It will flow away. Got to let it build up a little bit. It's not flowing away as fast as it could. So there's several ways we can try and unblock this. The first way is the old classic Mario and Luigi plunger, typical plumber's plunger. Little did I know there's so many different varieties on the market now, all suited for, I'm sure, different specific applications. But the one I've got has worked pretty well in the past, so we'll do that first. If that doesn't work, we'll have a look at the trap underneath the sink, see if the blockage is there. Clear that out. If that doesn't work, we'll move on to vinegar, then we'll move on to drain and blocker, which is obviously a lot stronger, and then finally we'll just have to start cutting up the pipe and taking a look down and see if we can clear it out, maybe replacing the whole run to the outside. So without any further ado, let's get cracking. So this isn't a classic old plunger, although they still receive very high ratings online, so don't discount them. But this one's more of a pump. So not only does it suck water up, it forces it down in a jet. I suppose it's kind of like a normal plunger, but anyway, that's what this does. But what you should do always, regardless of what plunger you're using, is to block off the overflow. Now, some people have suggested you put a wet rag in the hole, but I'm sure that could be blasted out with air pressure. So what I'm going to do, what I do, is just stick a bit of duct tape over, and that way we don't need a third pair of hands. Okay, right, then also it works better if you fill it with water, so it's got some water. It's using water to pump down the hole, so we need to fill it up first. Also the tap is in the way, so most of these taps should be able to just turn them to one side. So stick that over the hole. I'm just going to pump. You hear it sucked up the water. I can do it several times. Well, it's going, but it's not going fast enough. Well, if that isn't a stroke of genius, I don't know what is. The duct tape kept blowing off. It obviously wasn't strong enough, so I found a wine cork. Can you believe it? It actually works. Managed to shave the end off and just shove it up into the hole, so I'll give it a go. Stroke of genius, even if I do say so myself. Okay. You can definitely feel the suction more. It's much harder to pump, so that is critical, I would say. It's still taking its time. One more go. So the next port of call is going to be taking the trap off, and then we're going to do the other steps. We can always revisit it with the plunger along the way. So I've just gone under the sink, and what we've got here is a U-trap. You can get a bottle trap, which looks like a, doesn't really look like a bottle, but it's like a a sort of cup almost that screws off. So it would replace this thing. It'd just be like one cup. Just like that. What we're going to do is, you can do this too, don't be afraid to do this. This is really simple. Just whatever you do, don't turn the tap on when you're doing this, because, or when you've taken it off. And this is where this will stop smells and things to come up out your sink. It'll have water sitting in there at that level, and that's what stops the smells coming back up from the drain. But also it may collect a lot of the gunk, so we're just going to have a quick look inside there. See, I've cleaned this out recently, fairly recently, but you can still see even now it's started to build up some crud in there, so we're going to clean that out. We'll get this bit off as well. Okay, so we'll get a toothbrush, an old toothbrush in there, and clean all that out. Okay, so I've cleaned inside there as well, and then I've just given these clean. It doesn't have to be perfect, just you don't want any large lumps of gunk. So that's all been cleaned out there. So we're going to assemble it back together. And when you put them back on, just make sure you don't have to use any grips or anything on them, but you do need to make sure they're really tight, hand tight, as tight as you can possibly get it. Otherwise you are going to get leaks. Right, that's as tight as it's going to go. Yeah, unfortunately that didn't work either, so now we're moving on to the age-old method of vinegar. So we're going to pull that down there and see if that can eat through the blockage. So I've just boiled that up in the kettle. As I've always said, vinegar does work really well when it's hot and you're trying to use it to get rid of lime scale and sort of grease and things like that. So just boiled that up, just gonna pull that down there. I'll just let it work its way through in fits and spurts, because the run is very short. The run goes down there and then out the wall. There is a lot of kinks in it, so that is one of the problems. But it's pretty short. It's no more than probably just over 1 meter. So I don't want to throw all this down there. It'll pass out the pipe so quickly it won't have a chance to do anything. So I'm just going to do it in little stages. And then I would leave that for, say, 20 minutes, half an hour. Let it do its thing, and then we'll try it again. Okay, so we've left that for 20 minutes or so. Still struggling a bit. So it's obviously not quite cutting the mustard this time, but it's a good solution. Sometimes it's a quick fix, cheap as chips. We're finally on to the hard stuff. So I bought this one. I'm not going to bother with any more eco products, not that they don't necessarily work sometimes, but in this case it hasn't, so this is my next best bet. I'm failing that, we're going to have to cut the pipe and try and unblock it physically, or manually. So we're going to pour this down the drain, but again, although it says pour the whole content down, that run is so short it will just shoot straight out the pipe and go outside. So I'm going to do it bit by bit and leave it for 15 minutes and then come back. So literally just pour it down the drain. I mean, I guess it's assuming there's some sort of blockage, and this stuff is just going to sit on the blockage until it eats its way through it, but I don't know how true that is in my case, so I think it could be a bit of a waste, but let's just see if that does anything and then we'll come back. So if you take a look under the sink, you will see that was the part we took off before. It flows down that pipe, down here, and then underneath the unit. So we've got to take off the plinth and have a look underneath. So you see it's got a flexible elbow on there, and then it passes down and out through the wall. So you can see there's quite a few bends. There's 1, 2, 3 bends before it gets outside, and then it's got another bend that I know. So it's 4 bends. So it isn't any wonder that either that's what's causing the water to back up, so it isn't actually a blockage, or it is, you know, the blockage is somewhere in this pipe. So we're going to have to cut that pipe somewhere and then rejoin it back together afterwards, which is not that hard to do, but we've got to clean out the pipe and cut it in the right place. So I'm just going to decide where to do that. Now let's have a little look-see at what we've got. So we've got a drain unblocker. That is a long coiled wire that is wound up in there, and you literally just pull it out. You turn the handle and it spins it around manually inside the pipe. The idea to clean out any gunk. And I did that already, but there's only so far I could get with it from the top. So now we're going to make the cut. I've actually just got myself a bottle brush, which I've measured, and that will fit perfectly inside the pipe. It's slightly bigger than the pipe, that's what we want. When I cut the pipe, I want to put it back together. I've got myself some solvent weld fittings and some solvent cement. So that will glue it all back together. It will look like Franken pipe, but who cares? It will be watertight and it will work. So I reckon I'm going to cut it right about there, so I can get my bottle brush up there, give it a good old clean out. Not sure yet what I'm going to do down there, because I probably can't get the bottle brush down that section at the back. I may need to replace all that. It's going to be very hard to clean it out. So let's try. Shame I can't get my jet washer up here. Yeah. Anyway, cutting it, could do it with a hacksaw, but I'm not going to make my life difficult. I've got a multi-tool, so I'm going to use that. Got my ear defenders. So let's go. Yeah, now that's interesting. Quite a lot of liquid came out of that, and a lot of gunk. So it could be this section here that's all blocked up. Let's take a look inside. I mean, yeah, actually, let's clean that out. Oh, lovely stuff. I'm going to have to get some gloves now. But just to point out, be very careful when you cut this, because I had to allow that distance from that lip to the end, so I made sure I allowed enough when I cut it I could still get that back on afterwards. Slight caveat, make sure you have an empty box of chicken thighs. Other meat products are available. Right, I'm just cleaning off my dirty bottle brush. Yeah, I should have said that before. Otherwise you end up with a wet floor like I've got. So let's just get the old bottle brush up there. Give it a twist. Oh, lovely. I said I was going to get some gloves, didn't I? Didn't. Gross. At least it's all... the stuff that comes out your mouth rather than the other end. Okay, let's take a look in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect again, but as long as it's sort of unblocked. So now let's do the other bit of the pipe. Lovely. I've decided to cut the other end of the pipe because I can't actually see down that pipe clearly to see if there's a blockage here, and I might have half a chance of getting the bottle brush down there. So I'm going to cut it with the multi-tool. Hey, there's a fair old amount of crud in there, isn't there? Be interesting to see what's in here. Damn! Oh, on the carpet. Okay, so it is fairly blocked. The customer is always right. Okay, let's clean it up with gloves. Lovely. What if we get the old pipe cleaner, drain cleaner down there? It won't get around that second bend. There's no point in me even turning it, but I can do it manually. Okay, so I've hoovered all in there. I've cleaned it as much as we possibly can. Now I need to just to make sure all these ends are clean. Get some methylated spirits and wipe it all around the end there. Make sure it's all nice and clean, and then we're going to get a bit of sandpaper and rough it up so we can use our cement. So what, do the other end, either end of the connecting pipes as well, the other coupler, and then the outside of this pipe, just to give it a key so the cement will grab really well. So I've done into those two pipes already, so now we're ready to cement everything together. You don't need loads on that, but you give it a little twist at the end. Alright, now we can stick it on that pipe there. Just make sure you cover every little bit. Yep, give it a little twist. That's it. It doesn't take long at all to set. Because I got high, because I got high, because I got high. Da 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 da. Sending out some strong old fumes. Give it a little twist. Bob's your honey, Fanny's your aunt. Bob's your honey. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Oh, it's been a long day. Okay. Right, and that's pretty good. So we'll leave that for 5-10 minutes and then we can test it. Well, we still have a blockage. Now, seems rather strange that we've used vinegar, boiling water, we've cut open the pipe down the bottom, we've tried chemical cleaner and it's still blocked. So what could it be? Well, again, it's like I said on many other videos, you just have to be patient. I think you have to be patient, just concentrate and focus on the problem you have. So when I actually sat there and I listened to the water passing down the pipe, down that pipe there, I could hear it was backing up in there. It wasn't backing up down the bottom. And if I'd noticed that before, I may not have cut the pipe lower down. But who knows exactly. So I have already cut this pipe, but I'm going to show you. This might be useful for you because we've got to cut the pipe again. Show you how to get doors off in units like this. So these are like kitchen cupboards. They're actually very simple to get off. Normally you pull the catch back on these ones. You push it forward, give it a little tap, or pull, and they literally just clip off like that. So at the bottom, push the lever in, and then wiggle it, and that comes off. Do the same on the other side. Now we can take the shelf out. Okay, I've already cut this, so we'll find out what the problem was. That's going to be my joiner. And the reason I cut it down there is so that, because you've got that bend underneath the elbow, I wanted to be able to get my bottle brush down there, but then also I knew I could get it up this full length of pipe and clean all that out. So I've done all that, cleaned all that, cleaned around the, well, I was going to clean around the pipe, and then lo and behold, ta-da! That was sat right in there, catching all the gunk and everything else. I got my needle nose pliers and pulled it out. Now, there's been a lot of blame flying around as to who and what caused this, but I know who the culprit is, and I even know where it came from. So, no more finger pointing. Let's just get this fixed. Same again, gonna sandpaper around that. Now, before I do this one, I want to show you something quickly. Notice anything odd about that? Well, I can tell you what the odd thing is that pipe, I know it's loose, but it was like this before, that pipe is actually sloping backwards. So it's going in that direction, so it should be sloping down. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this pipe a little bit more, so that when it's in position, it pulls that other pipe up, and then we get a slope. Because I'm sure that's not helping. And all the water and gunk is going to collect in that part at the lowest point. So we'll do that as well. Okay, I'll put it all roughly in position, put my trap on, and then you can see there's an overlap there. So if I cut that section there, And we put a joiner on and it should hold it in place so that we've got a slope downhill now. Time to get high, baby. Actually, you know what? If doing this isn't creating microplastics, I don't know what is. I bang on about it a lot in my other videos about how bad it is for the environment, and yet here I am doing it. I mean, I guess you do what you can. All of these waste pipes these days are plastic. I don't know what else I can do apart from replace everything with steel, which I don't even know if you can get it now, but that's the old way they used to do it. I think it's big steel pipes to take all the waste away. But yeah, any thoughts on how we get rid of plastic pipe or stop it from turning into microplastics? Comment in the section below, I'd love to know. But you know, at least we're not throwing away. I've done so many repairs and this does look like Franken pipe, so at least that's not wasted. Anyway, let's get on with the gluing. I did want you probably want your because this is rigid. Once it's all glued in, you want to make sure it's at the right angle. So you want to position this, your trap, to ensure that it's going to line up. Otherwise you could stymie yourself. Could be up the gum tree. Stuff sets really quick. Like probably, I mean, definitely less than 10 minutes you're not meant to use it for. Probably more like a minute. Okay, let's try that. I have to get in there. What it says. Okay, that should be in. Okay, let's work quick. Okay, that should line up okay. So we'll just leave that. These shelves, just to show you, the way they operate is that you don't, I thought you used to slide it in, but no, that's pretty much impossible. They've got like a little wedge section at the top, so you literally get them all lined up and then you put it above the clips and then you force it down and it slides down that wedge and then clicks in. And I'll just show you how to clip the door back on quickly. So if you see here, see there's two little hooks there, one there and one there, and that's what's got to engage on the plate. You can feel it when it goes in, right? You have to push it right to the back and then lock it in, and then you just push it and it clips. And that's it. That's simple. Simples. Gladiators, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Booyakasha. Apologies to all the Scottish people out there. What a terrible impression. Yeah, so seem to have solved the problem, which is great. What's the takeaway from this? Well, I think first and foremost is to take the trap off. I think that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. So if you get a block sink, take that off, clean that out. That's the first port of call. Then what you're going to do is have a little think about where the blockage is. So run the water and try and have a little listen, and then you're more likely to know if there is a blockage somewhere. I could hear it glugging eventually back up from here, but I might have actually knocked the cap when I was fishing around down here. I might have actually pushed it back up there, so it might have originally been somewhere down here. So that would be the second thing. Just use a bit of common sense, have a little think, be patient. Then you can start turning to things like hot vinegar, boil it in the kettle, pour it down. It's cheap, it's not going to damage the planet, so that's a good option. Then maybe just keep pouring hot water down, boiling water, see if that flushes it out. Finally, you can start moving to the chemicals, and if that doesn't work, then you can start slicing and dicing the pipe. But word of warning on that, things are not quite as they seem, and not quite as simple as they seem, as usual. So this could be a labelling issue, or an old labelling issue, or a metric imperial thing. I'm not entirely sure, but there's different pipes and different fittings. So this is a solvent weld. Solvent weld means it's glued together, never to be removed, and this is a compression fitting, so it compresses down using a grommet onto the pipe. In any case, this, for example, is 40mm. It comes in different sizes, 50. Can't remember what the other sizes are, but there's 40mm waste pipe, but it's not actually 40mm. That's the problem. It's not 40mm on the outside. It's not 40mm on the inside. So the best thing you can do, whatever your pipe is, take it down to the plumber's merchant if you can. So cut it, take a section down. That's the best thing. That'd be the guaranteed to get the right fitting for that. Failing that, get a tape measure across there, and if you're within a mil, you should get the right size, because they're not that close together that you could get it wrong. Or pair of calipers, even better. So yeah, guys, I'm really pleased that I've solved this for myself, and I hope this is useful to you. I'll be looking back on this video myself next time I do this, because I very rarely do, and remind myself to stop, have a little listen, try and figure out the problem before I start cutting everything, and then but hopefully this video showed you all the different options. Good luck. I'll see you in the next one.